The documentary TV series, My Trans-American Road Trip, follows Abigail Austen, the first British Army officer to complete gender reassignment surgery from male to female as she travels to North Carolina to investigate their controversial bathroom bill.
Along the way, she met our friend, comedian Jeffrey J., and his dad, Mark, who got a lot of attention for being lovable and for his unusual explanation on why everyone must embrace transgender people.
Today, Jeffrey J. joins us to talk about his amazing dad and his obsession with cooking shows on YouTube.
Plus, Rosie O'Donnell says she'll play Steve Bannon on SNL if asked.
A town in Michigan saved its sewer system by not flushing their toilets during the halftime show at the Super Bowl.
And Donald Trump, like a lot of people, is obsessed with the Easy D.
I'm Fausto Fernos.
I'm Mark Fillion.
And this is Feast of Fun.
Not shaving gives me more time for misbehaving. Get this sexy t-shirt and all our fabulous designs at feastoffun.com/store.
Jeffrey J., tell us about how you came out to your parents. You came out first as gay and then as trans to them.
Yeah, lesbian, then trans, then gay trans.
So currently you identify as male and as homosexual with men.
Yeah, homosexual with men. Sounds like a really bad band.
And so, some people don't have an easy time when they come out to their parents. Their parents reject them or are confused or misunderstand what their children are trying to tell them.
Yeah.
But for your parents, they actually caught on pretty quickly and became LGBT advocates.
They did. Well, and they were the kind of parents there. I don't know if I've ever said this on the show before, but when I was 5, I was on a softball team with other girls, and there are 3 of us that all had chili bowl haircuts on this 5 years old.
Chili bowl?
Yeah, chili bowl. That was the old, they called it that because back in the day, they would put a bowl on your head and they would cut around the bowl. So it was
okay.
like
we just called it a bowl haircut.
Yeah.
Okay.
We called, I guess, maybe South Texas. That's a chili bowl. Like, that's all the bowls are used for in Texas is for chili. Mm-hmm. So we all had, we called it chili bowl haircuts. And so our moms, we were 5 years old, they made bets as to which one of the 3 of us was going to be a lesbian. We were 5-year-old girls.
Because you used to identify as a lesbian.
Yeah.
And then you started dating guys after your transition.
Yeah. It's fucked up.
So you're just kind of at your core, you're a queer person.
So they knew when we were younger because all 3 of us, by the way, ended up lesbians.
Oh, really?
So they made this bet, like which one of them's going to be gay. We were all gay. All 3 of us.
Did any of them transition?
They spot. No, actually, no. I won. I won that bet, I think.
So to people who are listening to this who may not, be as embracing of LGBT or trans equality as your parents are, what would you say to them who are like, this is just a phase?
Oh, that's such a hard one. Because actually, that's a thing that my mom said, because I don't know if I've ever shared this with you guys. I went to 8 colleges.
Holy shit.
And I never even got an associate's degree.
Well,
I never know.
You enjoy going to school.
Yeah.
You enjoy learning things.
I know. I just kept dropping out. I would just go to a college and be like, this is not it. I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do.
So your mom's just like, you're just gonna drop out of this trans thing?
Yeah. So she was like, you have never stuck to anything. And I go,
it's valid.
Yeah.
It's a valid
It was
criticism.
very valid. And I was like, no, this is the one, I swear. This is the one thing I'm sure about.
Okay.
So that was my one thing is that she was like, you've never even kept a job. How am I supposed to expect that you're going to stick with Jeffrey?
Were your parents more coming from the perspective that they want to see their son succeed and be happy, and they felt that you're, transitioning and being trans is a journey for a lot of people. And some people, it requires a lot of work and not just in dealing with adversity, but also in sort of defining their gender for themselves and seeking out medical care. It's not an easy path for anybody to be in.
No, in fact, that's pretty much the words that kind of came out of my mother's mouth when I transitioned, because we were white and I was attractive, and my mother worked really hard to become an attorney so that she could provide for me. She goes, I did everything in my power to make your life easy, and now your life's going to be so hard. And that was really the thing that was her deal, was that like, God, I tried to give you everything, and now your life's going to be so much harder.
And it's harder in some respects, but in a lot of ways, I would imagine it's much easier because you feel like you're living your authentic self, and you have had all these wonderful opportunities.
Oh my God, yeah. And I've said this before. If you Google white guy comedian, you will never find Jeffrey J. But if you Google trans comedian, this motherfucker's #1 on Google.
So are you saying you transitioned for a little publicity?
I'm just saying it didn't hurt my whole glass ceiling situation.
And so now your dad is very outspoken, very strong advocate for trans equality. And you guys got involved in a reality series called My Trans American Road Trip by British television, not the BBC, but the Channel 4.
Yeah, Channel 4.
Are they the ones who do Celebrity Big Brother?
I think they are.
Yeah, they do a lot of stuff.
It's the tabloid channel.
Yeah, and they do my favorite British comedies come from Channel 4.
And so the Trans American Road Trip follows Abigail Austen, who was the first British Army officer to complete gender reassignment surgery from male to female. And it follows her as she travels to North Carolina to investigate the state's controversial bathroom bills. Along the way, she hung out with you and your dad, Mark. Mm-hmm. And your dad got a lot of attention for being lovable and his unusual explanation on why everyone must embrace transgender people.
I know. And you know
what did he say?
You know, okay, first of all, can I say that we did not prep, so I had no idea what my dad or mom was going to say, first off. And secondly, I've never heard him say these words. So it was like shocking to me. And I'll tell you some behind the scenes stuff that happened.
Okay.
But what he said was, people will ask me, they'll say that that's not your son, that's your daughter. And he'll go, well, what if you had a horrible car accident and you lost your genitals? Would you still
I think he said your dick.
No, he said genitalia.
He did genitalia, okay.
Yeah, which is also just such a fucking weird. It's just...
You're like, Dad.
Oh God.
He meant well.
Wait till I get to the stuff that they didn't put on the show.
But he said that, he said this to people, and people are like, oh yeah, well, I get it then. It helped people get it in a certain way, right?
That is the thing. And so
but that's also something that trans people are also fighting against, is please don't divide us by our genitalia.
Oh
right?
my God. There are so many things that once we started this documentary thing, I realized we never talk about the fact that I'm trans. Ever. I'm just their kid. And we have regular conversations. Like, you two wouldn't be like, hey, you're a dude today, or talk about who you are. We just don't. So there were things that
Why would they?
Exactly. So when they were talking about things, I realized, oh shit, maybe I should have talked about some of this stuff more.
Train them a little bit?
Oh, yeah. At one point.
What?
This did not air.
Okay.
At one point, my dad said, I'll be at Walgreens or something, and I'll see an ugly looking man in a dress. And other people will look at him like they're weird. He's like, but I think that they're brave. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh God, it's all crashing down around me. He sounds like the most, and he doesn't mean anything by it. He's just trying to call someone brave, but doing it in a way that
I saw this ugly woman who just addressed did not fit her, and it was just sliding off her shoulder. She was so brave. She was so wonderful.
Well, and that's the thing about how, these anti-trans activists, that's the picture that they want to paint, that there's going to be this horrific, monstrous-looking human being wearing a dress hanging out in your toilet stall ready to pounce on you.
And that's on RuPaul's Drag Race, season 9. Just clarify that. Just kidding. But so everybody's in love with your dad, and your dad's getting his own fans now on social media.
Yeah,
so it's kind of like a Kathy Griffin and her mom kind of thing going on.
Absolutely. And because I was so excited about this, I was like, this is amazing because it's powerful. It was something that was really meaningful to me, and it meant a lot. And so then it aired, and I just had this torrent of tweets and messages to me, and not a single one were about me. They were all about my dad.
He stole the show.
He stole the fucking show.
Sorry.
You know.
I wanted to become famous. Dad took my celebrity thunder.
He ruined it by being adorable,
Celebrity
sweet.
he, not celebrity she, just to clarify the gender.
Celebrity she's also not a word.
It can be if you really believe in it.
Yeah, I'm a
when
celebrity.
your dad started talking about like that Crash thing, it reminded me of that movie called Crash. There was some other movie where it's like, was it called Crash or was it another one where people it was that movie.
Alive.
Where people had like a fetish. They'd like rush to like scenes where people have had car accidents.
Yes.
And like they'd have sex because it would kind of like turn them on.
Yeah. And you know what's weird? Unless you've said this to me before, not today, as in now.
I may have messaged it to you.
Okay, because I was going to say, there's more than once that someone has referenced that movie. And I genuinely think someone else did other than you as well.
I bet.
Just such a weird...
Because there was something, there was like a twinkle in your dad's eyes, though. He was like, I'd like to see that kind of action.
Well, now it seems like more than ever there's a record number of trans people in entertainment and media.
Oh, yeah.
And so when you first started as a stand-up comedian, it was like shooting fish in a barrel because there was only like you and this other guy. And there were very few female trans comedians.
Yeah, and you know...
Laverne Cox wasn't on Orange is the New Black. Like there was nothing. And now it's like there are more... There's, the trans 100. It's like the trans 100,000.
Oh my God. I remember when the first article about me came out and it was 7 trans comedians
7
that
of
you need to know. And
it should have been named 7 trans comedians. Period.
That's exactly it. Because that's all there was back then, except...
And that's the article where I found you at.
Yes, you did. And I remember this because... everyone used to come up to me, and I hated this article that came out because it said 7 trans comedians, and people would come up, and their one comment to me was, "There's 7 of you?" And I would go, "How dare you? I know there's 8 because I know one that didn't make the list."
That's
Which is like the saddest moment for her.
Oh. So in terms of being in entertainment, you always have to be sort of like keeping your name out there. Coming on this podcast is one way. Keeping active social media, creating videos. But for you, it's like you're also looking for media opportunities like this reality TV show. And then your dad sort of upstaged you so much that did it help you get gigs by being involved in My Trans-American Road Trip?
No, not at all. Not even slightly.
Well, because it took place on British television, right? It didn't really air here.
No, it didn't.
Okay.
It didn't. But it did air on their Channel 4, which is like their NBC. It was like a kind of like a Dateline type of thing.
And then you didn't get any get any bookings in Birmingham or Manchester?
No, I didn't. But I got a lot of messages about my dad, which is pretty great. So if he wants to go on the road, I think he'll be fine.
Have some spotted dick in the UK, Dad. That's a food.
It won't be good for their marriage.
What's going on with 2 Angry Black Women, the podcast you were on?
Yeah, that's been gone for a long time now.
Your co-star Bo Barker is a father now. He's planning to have twins.
So my best friend Bo
with his wife,
magnificent
fiance now.
Yeah,
shotgun wedding.
Yeah, so it's
babies weren't expected. Now it's like got to get to the altar.
They were not trying, but Bo is a very traditional human. In that, like, he would never in his life ever not be married to the woman who was having his babies. So, but they knew they were going to get married, and they're perfect for each other, and I love them so much, and I'm going to be like the godfather of the kids. But they found out, not only did they find out they were pregnant, then he proposed, and they found out they were twins.
Oh, and one's a boy and one's a girl.
There's 2 black women.
Yeah.
The sequel.
Wouldn't that be great if they named one Jeffrey and the other one your dead name?
Oh, yeah. Jeffrey and Courtney.
How about Jeffrey and Jay?
Oh, that's good. See, and that's the thing is I'm going to fuck these kids up secretly because Bo is so traditional values. I'm gonna like
you're the rebel.
Every time he leaves, I'm gonna be like, gender is just a construct, and you can be whatever you want.
And we can also burn this house down right now. Here's some lighter fluid.
What? There's an elf in my ear that's telling me to burn the house down.
That's
Get a
Jeffrey.
magnifying glass. We're gonna burn ants and then the house.
But I'm so excited for these babies.
So right now you're sort of like bummed out. You feel like you had a lot of hopes for My Trans-American Road Trip, and now you sort of gotten into a food coma
Yeah.
by watching every single cooking show on YouTube.
Yes, but it's worse than that because I counted. Because it's not even just cooking shows; it's specifically cooking competition shows, which I really love. And I counted. I watched 34 different cooking competition shows. So
there are that many different shows out there.
Oh yeah, and I can basically rattle them off. And because not only does Gordon Ramsay alone have about 7, but then you double that number because he has the exact same show in the UK.
And with children, right?
And with children. So yeah, there's all the juniors, which that added about 7 more because there's Chop Junior, MasterChef Junior, Kid Bake Off. I'm telling you, it's bad. 34 different ones.
What's the worst one you watch and you don't know why you watch it?
Worst Cooks in America.
Yeah.
That's Rachel Ray, Ann Burrell, and Bobby Flay. So they have sort of like famous chefs teaching people how to cook who are
horrible,
resistant to the idea.
Oh, they're not even resistant. They just don't know. And so like they'll take Brussels sprouts and cook them in a fig and sardine thing, like just sludge. They don't know what they're doing. And it's so great. I love it because I'm not even learning anything. That's what's so horrible about it. I'm not learning anything. I'm just watching them suck. And so that's why it's so guilty for me. With other shows, I at least learn something. In this one, I'm just watching these people destroy their marriages with bad cooking and feed their children just garbage. And it's fantastic.
What was was a reality TV show Devin Green was involved with where she couldn't cook?
That was only on one season, so...
Yeah, and basically, like, Devin Green does this too. She, like, exaggerates the fact that she can't cook by posting pictures of, like, hot dogs with spaghetti stuck in it.
I've made those for the kids that I babysit.
And they boil them.
Kids
and
like them, right?
They love them because it looks like...
Weird.
It looks like a little octopus. And then I also take hot dogs and I cut them 4 ways down, and when you microwave them, they look like a little octopus.
Oh.
It's adorable. I'm really good about...
Because what kid doesn't want to eat an octopus?
Oh, yeah. And I always take, when I make their lunches and stuff, I put little strawberries and I make it into a smiley face. And
so you're like an IHOP.
I'm fantastic.
Low budget IHOP.
Oh, my God. I'm such a good IHOP.
One of my favorite subreddits is like expectations versus reality. And it's mostly like people going to IHOP and photographing the happy face that they get, and it always looks really depressing. The bacon smile.
A little stroke facey.
Yeah, it's like... So worst cooks in America, that's on YouTube. Let's talk about YouTube cooking shows that we're sort of obsessed with or revolted by, and sort of go down the list here. Probably the most famous cooking personality on YouTube is not Martha Stewart, but it's a woman named Rosanna Pansino who does a channel called Nerdy Nummies. And YouTube poured a lot of money into promoting her because they wanted the idea out there that, hey, you have a personality, you can cook, you can be on YouTube. And all she does is make gimmicky desserts based on viral phenomena and video games and movies.
No one's making this stuff. Nobody's... This is my problem, that no one's making this stuff for real.
Well, then that's the whole idea. It's a gimmick, and a lot of times you watch these shows and it's aspirational watching. So you're like, oh, if I only could, I would make this kind of thing. And it's also, but it's hitting on a couple of different things. So she's young and she's cute, and she's also doing things that are kind of viral. And so that's just going to give it that kind of momentum and that kind of push itself.
Yeah, but she's got the world's most annoying voice.
Let's get started. Is that what it is?
That's her catchphrase.
And then she does like a little whippy with her finger, and it's just like someday that finger is going to get bitten off by somebody.
And you did it so well because there's something fake built into her voice. Like the character's not her. You guys have character because you can feel that it's authentic. That's why people are drawn to you.
Let's get started.
That was great. That was so
that was my
very
fake
Mark.
voice.
Oh, it was? Damn it.
Well, it feels like we all should
get
develop
started.
catchphrases, right? What would be your catchphrase?
My catchphrase?
Yeah, if you did a cooking show.
Let's fuck this shit up. That's what it would be. And I would cross my arms.
Fuck it up.
Yeah.
So it's the opposite of RuPaul.
Which is what's
don't
his?
Don't fuck it up.
Oh, is it really?
But I say fuck it up if you can.
Fuck it up is
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Yeah. Let's fuck it up.
Fuck it up.
What
Fuck
about
it
you,
really.
Mark?
I don't know if I have. Do I have a catchphrase? If I have,
It's something you say a lot and that you may not be aware that you're saying that
say the
people
word like
associate
a lot.
with.
How about down, Jesse? That's probably your catchphrase.
Off.
Get off.
Jesse, come here.
Well, at the end of the show, Cooking with Drag Queens, we say, if you can't cook for yourself, how the hell are you going to cook for somebody else?
Can I get a bon appetit up
So
in here?
that's
That's
a
a
parody
good
of
one.
not just RuPaul's catchphrases, but also Julia Child, who would always end her videos with bon appetit.
I know, and she was so great. She had so much character to her.
Oh, yeah.
And that one was fun about it. And the reason I think my catchphrase would be let's fuck it up is because I watch all these like Taste Made and Tasty.
That's a BuzzFeed's thing.
Yeah, and Cooking Panda. And the thing that bothers me so much is that down angle where there's no mess.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what cooking's about. Cooking, to me, it's about making a mess and just being free with it. Don't stir it perfectly where there's no flour on the table. That's silly. Have fun
Well,
with
it lacks character and it lacks charm, but it's like if you're somebody that knows how to cook, you're like, oh, let's just see what this is real quick and see how it works.
And I watch
that's great.
all of them.
and that's what's wonderful because it's like it's nice because it's only a minute. You know it's going to be done in a minute, and you can move on from there. I've never actually made anything that
No.
from there that I remember.
I'm not going to make a pizza cake, which I watched this morning laying in bed.
What the fuck's a pizza cake?
It is a pizza cake. They take a crescent roll dough and then they layer pre-cooked. They cook pizzas and they stack it kind of
Wait,
like a
there's
lasagna.
already pizzas in there?
Yeah, so I know. And that's the thing, too. They're so ridiculous.
Yeah, nobody's making that stuff.
No, nobody's taking 4 pre-made
Mm-hmm.
pizzas and stacking it, although it did look delicious.
One person that inspires me a lot is Hon TV.
Get the fuck out.
I
Really?
love her.
I love Hon
Yes.
TV. So for people who don't know who Hon TV is, she's an African-American woman who may or may not have spent some time in jail. So she has a very hard-ass way of relating to her son or
I think it's
nephew.
probably her nephew.
Who's running the video camera. And usually she takes, everyday household items and stretches them out. So she's best known for that angry ramen noodle casserole that she made.
The original is it was like a fried ramen noodle or something.
Yeah.
She made it very non-traditionally, and I can't remember because it's been so long since I watched it, but it was so good. She's like, it's whole meals, like $3.17. And she's so, what I like.
Dedicated.
Well, and beyond that, she's so unreasonable, but then at times she gets reasonable, and I love it. She'll be like, no. Well, okay, you're right. And then it's such a great, she's not that crazy. And she's like, okay, you got a good point there. And it's so much fun to watch her. I just want to hang out with her for a day.
And then you put the fucking grease on the stove, you light that stuff up, and then you put these where are those goddamn, give me those.
Well, she calls the
why is the camera not
oil.
pointing over here?
She calls the oil that she fries in the grease.
Oh, God. And
With white people won't call it grease. They'll call it oil.
We did in the South.
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah, because my family's from Mobile, Alabama.
Okay.
And it was a very much so, you got fried up in the grease. And then my mother's family, they had a maid whose her actual name was Bertha, and they did call her Big Bertha. And she would say when she was making hot dogs for this family of 8, so you made hot dogs a lot, she would put butter on the hot dog buns, and she would go, y'all want me to grease your buns? And that's something we've said our entire lives.
Y'all want me to
because
grease your bum?
yeah, which is, you want me to put butter on your hot dog bun? Do you want me to grease your
Well,
buns?
the thing is, back in the day, it's you'd cook all sorts of meats and the fat would render off, and so you would just hold on to it.
Yes.
And then you'd keep it to the side, whether it was bacon or beef or pork, and people would fry in that, or
Yes.
you'd use lard. So technically it was grease, But then they came out and said, hey, this stuff's really terrible for you. You should be using this other stuff instead, like Crisco. But the reverse is actually true. It was like, the grease was, well, not the healthiest thing for you, was much better for these manufactured things like Crisco.
It was at least natural.
Yeah.
And
people have been eating it for thousands of years.
Absolutely. And we've got in every house in Mobile, there is inevitably an aluminum can, like an old corn can that is filled with grease that is set right by the stove.
Yeah. I grew up with one of those.
Yeah, us too. And in fact, my Uncle Barry, that's how he set his house on fire, is because he puts it right above the stove. So it's like right where the hood vent is. So when the grease fire started, that fell into the grease fire. And just helped accelerate it. And to this day, he still keeps it there.
Actor Misha Collins, who's best known as Castiel in the TV show Supernatural, has a 4-episode series called Cooking Fast and Fresh, where he makes a mess in the kitchen with his son and then gets the maid to clean it up afterwards.
I'm sure that he has a maid that cleans it up afterwards because it's ridiculous.
He doesn't seem like a parent who's too concerned with the child making a mess.
He's not, and then he's so he's already so adorable. But
the actor and the kid.
Yeah. And then his wife wrote a book, which is great. It was just called, I think it's called The Benefits of Having a Threesome or something like that, which is a pretty great book that I have not finished. But
about having sex with 2 people at the same time?
Yeah, like the benefits of having
Whoa.
a threesome. And so he's got a really cool family dynamic. And then he also does a thing called Gish Whiz, which is the largest international, what are those things called?
Circle jerks?
No.
You said jizz, right?
It just made me spit. The world's largest circle jerk. Yeah, that's what he's known for. And in this, he's with this 1-year-old.
No, but what's the concept?
It's going to drive me insane. Scavenger Hunt.
Oh!
It's the world's largest international scavenger hunt.
Looking for the D.
Yeah.
So it seems like with drag queens, when it comes to cooking shows, because drag queens like to sort of embody anything that is associated as feminine, and the kitchen is a traditional feminine space in the domestic sphere, right?
Yeah.
So if it's in a restaurant, it's male. If it's in the home, it's female.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which makes absolutely no sense. But you would think a lot of drag queen cooking videos would be interesting or creative or inventive.
Yeah.
And 95% of them is drag queens, kind of like Castiel with his son. They're just pouring crap into a bowl and setting it on fire, kind of like the Three Stooges, you know? So for us, we get criticized a lot. It's like, why aren't you guys making more of a mess? Why is it not more chaotic? And I'm like, because Cooking with Drag Queens has to be a show that actually makes food and makes sense. Because ultimately, the goal of Cooking with Drag Queens is to connect with the queen that's on the show.
You think that
And when the queen gets caught up in creating chaos, then we sort of focus on the chaos, and we really don't get to know who Bob the Drag Queen or Lady Bunny or Alaska or any of these queens are, because they're not doing something that's grounded in reality.
That's interesting to me, because I feel the complete opposite.
You feel like you get to know a person better based on the fact that they're sploshing around like a porn video or something? Or?
I love Hell's Kitchen so much, and I learned nothing about food in that show. Nothing. They don't give you a recipe. They don't tell you how things are done. It's just him yelling at people.
But you actually went to cooking school. You went to the CIA, not the government agency, but the California
It's the Culinary Institute of America.
This one?
I didn't graduate from anything, no.
Okay.
No, I did not. I dropped out after about a year or so and 30-something grand.
Yikes.
Yeah, and I've learned way more on YouTube from stupid taste-made commercials and 1-minute videos than I ever did in school.
One cooking channel that inspired us a lot with the macaroni and cheese pizza that we made with Joan Waters is Frankie Collins' Taste Mate.
Oh, he's so cute. He's like a cuter version of Rufus Wainwright.
If Rufus Wainwright could cook.
I'm sure he can cook something.
I bet he can. He's so sensitive.
Yeah.
I bet he cooks while playing an acoustic guitar.
Well, Rufus Wainwright, according to some friends of ours, would go up to guys in bars and promise to write a song about them if he went home with them to have sex.
Is he gay?
Can
Yeah.
you believe it?
No.
But Frankie stopped doing this show, though, didn't he? Or he was like
I don't think he was doing it because it was a hobby for him, and he just kind of gave up. And I'm not sure what happened to him. But you say he may have dated Frankie Collins, might actually be gay and dated a friend of yours.
Maybe, perhaps, but I can't speak.
Yeah.
Because I don't know for
outing.
sure. Yeah, and I'm pretty good about not outing people.
Hannah Hart, she's an openly gay lesbian woman who has a video channel called My Drunk Kitchen.
Yes.
Which it's not my cup of tea just because she's kind of like every other video blogger. She's not actually doing anything. She's just like, chewing up scenery in front of the camera, and she's not really doing anything except getting drunk.
Yeah, and
Is she cooking?
Not really.
I mean, but you're right. There's no point behind it. Also, I feel like one of the problems is people get a gimmick and they use it for forever, which I think My Drunk Kitchen could be fun sometimes, but it could be other things too. Why does it have to be My Drunk Kitchen? I'm not learning anything from you.
She's an alcoholic.
Probably.
Yeah, and you know what? Then I respect her because she's doing what she loves.
Jackson Bird, he's trans, does a video channel called Will It Waffle, where he destroys waffle irons. And asking the question, will this, gummy bears or gummy worms waffle? And most of the times the answer is no.
Yeah, and that's the opposite of why Blendtex Will It Blend was so good. Because Will It Blend, the answer was always yes. And that's why it was such a good show.
But he destroyed the blender every single time. Like he blended
Not
an
always.
iPhone and it would catch on fire and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, but it would blend.
It would blend.
And
It would break. It would get destroyed.
Oh, my
But
God.
with the other thing too is like when you're putting something in a blender, it's just going to blend. But when you are introducing heat onto some of these things, you don't necessarily want to kill it. Now I don't know if he uses mainly like food sources or does he just do anything?
Most of the things that Jackson Bird waffles is something he's planning on eating. So
Okay.
the concept is sort of like, will it fry? And there's other people on YouTube who've taken like their Halloween candy and batter dip them and then throw them in a deep fryer. And 9 out of 10 times, no, it doesn't work well.
But like one of the things that I saw with when in a waffle that was made was macaroni and cheese. You put that into a waffle and it makes it nice and crispy and delicious looking.
I've seen that with mozzarella sticks.
Ooh.
And it was fantastic looking. I mean, because it kept it crispy.
Now we have a
and
panini
melty.
thing, so I probably would go for the panini first. But
Yeah.
That's our show. Will It Panini?
Will It Panini Press? Because we were also talking about other shows. We were like, Will It Rice? We could get a ricer and try and rice things.
So
and be like,
good.
Will It Boil?
Ooh, Will It Salad Spinner? It's just us spinning things that end up exactly the same after spun.
This hasn't changed at all.
There's a woman named Jenny Can Cook who looks like Jenny Jones, the talk show host, but it's not the same person, even though they both have the same first name. And they look like each other and sound like each other. They're not the same person. She's famous for her no-knead bread recipe, which was first printed in the New York Times, which is basically you mix yeast, salt, water, and flour, and the act of just letting it sit there, the yeast does the kneading for your bread.
Right, so it proofs.
It proofs it beautifully, and then you're baking it in a Dutch oven, which seals in the moisture, and you get a foolproof loaf of bread.
But what's most important about putting it in that Dutch oven, which is usually made out of metal, is the bread in there is getting hit by radiant heat. So now you have it like you can have a hot oven, but there's something about that radiated heat, which means it's coming from that thing that actually makes it nice and crispy and cooks quickly.
Oh yeah, one of my favorite dishes when I'm camping is a 7-Up cake in a Dutch oven. You take just a white flour cake, just pre-mixed stuff, and you pour a thing of 7-Up in it. And
you
it
dump it.
The most delicious campfire cake.
You can make a dump cake.
So, it's so good. And I swear by the Dutch oven. I love it.
Epic Mealtime is one of the most famous ones. Most of the videos is them, taking something and wrapping it in bacon, then wrapping it in pizza,
And then
deep
putting
frying it.
27 different things on it. You know what I don't like? I don't like stuff that's like unnecessarily wasteful for no reason.
Yeah.
I can understand maybe even waffling something because you're only doing a handful.
Sure.
But they're buying like 27 burgers and then covering it in Taco Bell tacos and then covering it in cheese.
And the classic and the most important, I think, besides, Julia Child's black and white cooking videos, those were filmed in her home.
They were fantastic, too.
Martha Stewart's were filmed in her home, too, in the beginning.
In the beginning, the TV show Living, which is, you can tell that it's classic Martha because it's standard ratio, not high definition ratio. And she was a pioneer of using low depth of field photography to show the food on camera.
What does that mean?
So a low depth of field is when the background is blurry. And so, like for the iPhone 7 Plus,
it focuses in on.
So you have like a plate, like a dessert, and it's really nice and focused on everything, like the little window and the goose running in the backyard.
Yeah,
it's all kind of like
it's like the vignette on Instagram. Right?
So, like the iPhone 7 Pluses are sort of getting a lot of news because they have two lenses on them that allows you to sort of separate the object from the background.
Ooh.
And so all these people are very excited about that. And Martha Stewart's Living was kind of a pioneer in a photographic technique that's been around forever, which was having a very low depth of field, which gave the food and the things that she was making on her show a very dreamlike quality.
Yeah, and there's also an added thing to the home feel that I really love. Like Rachel Ray, in the beginning, she was in her home, but then she moved to the studio and things changed. With Martha Stewart, she was in her home. Julia Childs was in her home. And then Alton Brown had a specially designed, the people who shot Good Eats, they had a specially designed house where their real fridge had a hole in it. You could take out the back and film into the fridge and into the microwave. And there were these really cool. Do you remember? Did you ever watch Good Eats?
I always wonder how they filmed those microwave scenes.
Oh.
The microwave had a hole in the back.
Yeah, they would have a hole in the back
Is
that they could
safe?
move it. I don't think so. But that is so fascinating to me because he would put something in the oven and you would watch him from the other side of the oven. It was so neat. And he's the Bill Nye the Science Guy of cooking. Alton Brown is hands down my favorite. But that's that home feel that Martha Stewart had and that Julia Childs had. That's wonderful. It's also the reason that I love The Bread Lady because it's not perfect and I love it. Like you were pointing out that like you can tell her husband's holding the camera and zooming in when he thinks he should. It's so cute.
So, Cooking with Drag Queens, we're still in production. We're planning to release a new episode in as RuPaul's Drag Race says, soon. In quotations, and we can't say who it is because it's tied to season 9.
Ooh, when does this start?
And we've probably said too much already. I don't want to get into trouble. So,
I feel like that's your MO.
My modus operandus?
Yeah, I was saying too much.
Well, I didn't mean to, it's like, we just get excited about these things, and sometimes we say more than we should,
Things are so exciting.
But it's nice to see so many people from this series, Feast of Fun, the podcast, actually make it onto Drag Race.
That's so cool.
And, and we know a lot about them personally. And I was saying this to Mark last night. It's like half the fun of RuPaul's Drag Race is that, you can interact with these people. They'll come to your gay bar. You can go to their meet and greet and interact with them in a way that, most people on television don't leave their homes and travel across the country.
And most of them, their home address is somewhere on the internet, and you can just hang out inside their home. And when they come home from gigs, they're like right there.
I think that was actually a problem with some of the queens from past seasons were finding some of the fans of the shows standing in front of their homes, being like, "Hey, I found out where you live."
You sure it wasn't Mark? Because it kind of sounds like it was Mark.
I'm too lazy for that. I like these queens enough, but I'm not traveling.
I'll text them, but that's about it.
You've been getting into escape rooms.
Huge into escape rooms.
What is an escape room for people who don't know what that is?
It's when you get locked in a room or 3 rooms or 4 rooms, and you have 1 hour to figure out all the clues to escape. And I am fantastic at them because my entire life I've played the video game version which is there's these click escape rooms that I've always played, and so I am fan-fucking-tastic at them. And people don't realize that this was a big video game thing that we all used to play, and so I'm huge into them, and I go to as many as I can, and I just
they give you clues and stuff like that. And so one clue leads to another clue, leads to another clue, leads to another clue. So like, give us an example of a couple of clues that you might get in an escape room.
Okay, so we're in your room right now, and I see that there's a bunch of papers here, and I might pick up this paper, and this paper might say, look at the picture, and then I try to find what the picture is, and maybe there's something in his eye, maybe a number, and then I find a lock, and I'll put that number into the lock, which will open up the next thing, and then at one point I'll get 3 chess pieces. I'll have found them around the room, and there's a chessboard here, so I'll put one here and in a different spot and use a clue to get another one, and something magnetic will drop out of the wall. And it's fascinating. I love it.
Now, you went to one, and typically the large groups can go into these, but you actually ended up going in there with just your boyfriend.
Just my boyfriend, which was a huge test of our relationship.
Yeah, I could imagine. How did it test it?
I mean, we did really good.
You mean you did good and he just tagged along?
No, he was fantastic. I've learned that I know nothing about geography.
Oh.
Because there was a globe portion, and I was like, that's all you. You fucking do that, I'll do something else. And we did really well until probably the last 10 minutes.
And you're like, we have 10 minutes to get out of this fucking room.
We were so frantic at one point, Jacob almost pulls this huge picture off the wall because we're going so fast. And I go, don't do that. There's a screw there. And like, the clue on the wall goes, that doesn't come off the wall, with 3 exclamation points.
Oh, my God.
Because we're just going so fast. It wasn't until after we left that we kind of had a little spat. So we
About
did.
What?
Well, it was about like the whole pulling of the thing off the wall, and he's like, I was working, and I was like, well, I'm just saying. And at one point there was an I told you so, because you're both trying to solve a problem. And so when you're like, no, this goes here, and they'll go, no, and then I'm go, oh, I told you so.
Do you think being like just the 2 of you in that room alone, as opposed to like a group of like 10 or 12, made it better? Or is it like more people, it's more problem solving? Or if you get in a room with like 12 idiots, does it really screw up the process?
I feel like you can really screw up the process if people don't understand how to organize yourself. And I did go for my birthday a couple years ago. I went with a cousin who was very bossy. And at one point we ended up with only 2 light sources in one dark room. So one was a dim lamp and the other one was a tiny flashlight. So you had to work together, and I wanted to stab him in the face.
And you could have gotten away with it because it was dark and nobody would have known it was you.
Yeah, with the exception of all the cameras.
Okay.
It would have been great. But it might have added to the room, a little realistic blood.
Rosie O'Donnell says that she is happy to place President Bannon on Saturday Night Live if they offer her the role.
Her to. Well, because everybody was so impressed by Melissa McCarthy doing Spicer as the press secretary. And so they're like, Rosie, you got to do Bannon. Because there's a little bit of resemblance. Like, with the makeup, she could totally look like him.
Totally. If Melissa McCarthy can nail Sean Spicer, then they can do.
And from what I understand, is like the thing that pissed off Trump the most about Melissa McCarthy playing Spicer is that she's a woman playing him. And he thought that it made Spicer appear weak. Because he's like, he values people that appear strong.
I love it.
And so like if Rosie can do it, like it could really, because he just hates her. And so like he could like start hating Bannon by osmosis, right? Like every time he looks at him, because like everybody's saying, like Fauster called him President Bannon, like in many ways he's the guy that's really in charge. Like Trump takes his marching orders from him.
Oh yeah, and also,
what's the relationship to Bannon, Trump, and Putin right now? Is Putin is sort of benefiting from the chaos that's happening in the United States and sort of destabilizing the Western world.
Oh yeah,
and so Bannon is involved because he's just a white supremacist.
I'm not really sure what his involvement is, but there was somebody else that was in charge of like Trump's team for a while, and he had some involvements with Putin and with the Russians.
The whole thing is crazy to me.
Yeah, it is absolutely.
And these are
crazy.
Republicans who, like, for generations have been like, Russians and communists need to be feared and all this stuff. And all of a sudden they're like, Russia. Trump said Russia. He compares Russians poisoning their political enemies and killing them on the same level as American politics, and that's just like wrong, and it's disturbing, and the fact that he wants to be able to poison his political enemies is unnerving.
Yeah, that he'll destroy them, and I am the worst because I'm a horrible person. I am a head in the sand person.
Aww.
And I know, but guess how happy I am watching my cooking shows. Like, I'm so happy.
You've been depressed because of the Trump administration, or are you just depressed in general?
Both. But so Jacob, my boyfriend, he watched Obama's speech and wept. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, God, there's nothing I can do to control this. And so instead, I watch my cooking shows. And I know it's a horrible thing to be a head in the sand person, but God, I'm so much happier.
Have you seen the movie Cabaret? I mean, that's sort of has a similar sense of helplessness that the characters in that movie, they seeing these Nazis rise to power. One of them is singing "Tomorrow Belongs to Me." Is the song?
That's the German. That's what the Nazis would sing.
Yeah, and so there's a scene there, and he's like, "Do you still feel like they're just harmless?" Mm-hmm. And part of it is it's interesting to see, especially LGBT people, being advocates for Trump and for the Republicans. And
I think most of them really are just kind of they're trolls. They're just does this piss you off? Will this get me attention? Mm-hmm. Am I a sad, lonely person? Yeah. And so this will get at least
look at me. I'm controversial.
Yeah. Somebody's going to react to me. I'll finally get a reaction out of people because they're not really paying attention to me.
Absolutely.
But people are paying attention to Trump today because he really got a lot of gay ears perked up. They're all like, what's going on? Because today he tweeted big increase in traffic into our country from certain areas. While our people are far more vulnerable as we wait for what should be easy D. Okay. And we're kind of everybody's like, what the hell is easy D? And gay men are like, I know that easy D. I want that easy D. But then some people say if it's easy D, you don't want it. You always want to work a little hard for that D.
It's true. That's my Grindr profile name. Easy D.
Oh, I should change that right now.
So he says the easy D is an easy decision for the judges. It's sports talk.
Yeah.
Or an easy defense.
Oh, come on. I was hoping it was his rap name.
But he's also tweeting out. He's tweeting shit about he's mad at Nordstrom's because Nordstrom dropped Ivanka Trump's line of clothing or shoes or whatever.
God. Yeah, she's suing now.
Ivanka is?
Yeah, she's suing.
Ivanka's the daughter.
Melania is suing somebody.
Oh, you're right.
So Melania is actually suing the Daily Mail because the Daily Mail said that she was an escort, right? And and they're saying in their position papers is that she's lost a lot of money because she could have launched a clothing line, furniture line, all sorts of perfume line, all of these things because she was going to use her newfound success as the first lady of the United States to be able to do that kind of stuff. And you're like, you can't now they're putting into legal documents that this is their plan.
Yeah.
And it's don't we have laws to protect people from profiteering from the office of the presidency?
Make any sense.
But it's just whatever. I feel like he's like Teflon. Whatever you throw at him, he just goes right off.
And you know what it's made me realize? There used to be this whole thing. It's when something comes out against you, that you immediately go out and say, "Yeah, I fucked up. I'm sorry," and then it would be over with. And now I don't believe that anymore. I think that if something happens and you just never talk about it, it's like Louis C.K. He never talks about the fact that
he allegedly exposed his genitals to women on several different occasions and pleasured himself. Right?
Yes, and
that's the allegation, right?
Yep, that's the allegation, and he never talks about it. So guess what? It's not a massive story, and that's kind of what he doesn't go.
I heard it wasn't a massive story. That's not. It's listen. Those women were victimized. If that happened, they were victims.
Don't be all easy D about it.
I won't.
Come on.
That was difficult, D.
Yeah.
That was very difficult, D.
Well, and what is it? It's is there any? Do you guys feel like there's any kind of gravity or weight to the accusations to Louis C.K.? I mean,
yes.
It's sort of like with Bill Cosby. These successful comedians sort of abuse their positions of power, and sort of to humiliate other people. It just seems very unlikely. It felt unlikely for Bill Cosby to do it, but then
I know.
And, you know, and I have a hard time even seeing Louis C.K. doing that, since he seems to, his onstage persona, his public persona, seems to be one of wholesomeness and honesty and integrity.
Well, it's so hard, but it's like I had a teacher who was my favorite teacher, and he really shaped my life, and he was a fantastic person. And he ended up sexually abusing
One of the students?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it took me forever to wrap my head around it because I idolized this man. He was so wonderful. So it just catches you by surprise. You're like, oh gosh, it could be anybody.
Is that why we're sort of attracted to the myth of like Mr. Rogers being a sniper,
God,
or
such a
Julia
good
Child had like a dozen murders under her belt? You know, these beloved, wholesome, iconic figures of our childhood of public television. You know, they secretly are monsters.
Yeah, or like Lucille Ball hearing a communist with her teeth. Do you remember that one?
What?
Yeah, she made up this story that she had fillings in her teeth and she was catching communist radio stations.
This sounds kind of familiar.
It was on her episode. It was on her TV show, or is this a rumor she made in the press?
No, she was talking on the big talk show at the time. I don't know who that was.
Mike Douglas or Merv Griffin or Dick Cavett.
You're close.
Johnny Carson.
Carson. It was a Carson thing, and she told it as a true story. And it's like one of those things where it was like I watched an analysis of it about how it was the most beautifully American thing at the time to make up this story. And there are things we want to be true, and there are things that we don't want to be true. But like, yeah, just such an interesting, weird thing.
Kristen Stewart, I guess we've known that she's been in the closet, a lesbian for years.
Well, yeah, those Twilight movies where you're looking at it, there's like those 3 stars, you're like, not one of those stars is
Not
straight.
one,
And
no.
she told it, like, even since like Panic Room, when she was like Jodie Foster's little...
She was in Panic Room?
She was the
little girl.
She was Jodie Foster's... there was something... Jodie looked at that little girl and said, I want that little lesbian as my daughter. Because that'll be believable, you know? But it's just like, so she never struck me as a straight woman.
Yeah.
You know? And then I guess her mother kind of outed her, saying, oh, yeah, she's been dating a girl in the UK or whatever. But now she's like out and proud. She was on SNL telling Trump to go, because Trump, I guess, was obsessed with her relationship with Pattinson, and like had over like 3 or 4 years ago when they were breaking up, had 10 or 12 tweets about their relationship. Like he was really kind of like, he was into their relationship and followed it quite closely. It's super creepy. It's weird.
That's crazy.
This president that we have is nuts. And so, and so she's just like, she's talking to him in the opening, and then she's also, and like, dude, I'm totally gay. So like now she's like, you know, I guess she was bi, but now she's like totally gay and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I have to say though, her Super Bowl ad that she did with the she's a Chicago comedian who's now on SNL, with the Totino pizza rolls, and they have that lesbian scene, was so wonderful, and she looked so goddamn good.
She was so hot. She was so L-word Shane.
Oh yeah,
that was the best lesbian movie I've ever seen.
Oh, by far. Yeah. I wanted to open up a Bud Light and go back to my old ways.
But you know, Kate McKinnon is probably pissed off that she didn't get that part.
I bet. God, she's.
She also might be like, everybody knows I'm a lesbian.
It's true.
Let her have it. I make movies now.
Let her be the awesome frumpy wife of a dude watching the game. She was so perfect.
This year, the Oscars are one of the most politicized, contentious, debated ceremonies ever. Coming from sort of the sentiment of years past that the Oscars are too white, they're not acknowledging diversity, and they're not looking for celebrating diversity in their award ceremonies. And then we have President Trump, and so what would have been an easy win for Lalalaland for the Best Picture now is up for grabs to either Moonlight or Hidden Figures.
I still say it's going to go to La La Land just because Hollywood loves movies about movies.
Oh yeah, I mean, everyone who is there is voting. I mean, in LA, it's nothing but those stupid for your consideration billboards, and like it blew my mind when I got there. That was what every single fucking billboard is a for your consideration billboard. It's very weird coming from a place where, you know, in Texas we had a billboard that still had the N-word on it. It was a very different world.
With the Oscars, I think La La Land is probably likely to get it, but if they lose to anyone, I think it'll be Hidden Figures.
I would say so.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good film. There's one thing I just discovered the other day I was reading on the internet, because Fausto and I had seen Hidden Figures, and there's a scene where Kevin Costner takes an axe, basically, or like a sledgehammer to the sign that said, like, colored women's bathrooms, because the main character, she had to walk from, like, her office all the way to, like, another building to go to the bathroom, and then finally he's just like, we're going to integrate these bathrooms. You know, it was a powerful scene. Now, I heard people on Facebook being like, saying that the people were cheering in the theater when that happened. I don't remember people cheering.
I think the audience had a very favorable response.
But there's definitely a favorable response. But like, that scene's totally made up. And of course, yes, there were segregated bathrooms at the time. But in reality, the main character, forgive me for not knowing her name off the top of my head, I guess she just started using the bathroom that was closest, and that's how it went.
So she never had to like
not
run in the
sensational.
rain and do math problems on the toilet.
Yeah.
That
Now,
never happened.
She may have in the beginning, but then
Okay.
eventually she was just like,
This
I'm
is
not running.
stupid.
This is stupid. I'm not running this far. And pretty much I'm like one of not that many women in that building in the first place. But, you know, people find it problematic because then it's all of a sudden, here it is, this character portrayed
White
by
guy.
He's the white guy come to save the day.
Yes. It's kind of like if they sensationalized my life, because then one day I just started using the guy's bathroom. There was no big scene about it. I didn't dance. But I like looked around shiftily and then
Right.
snuck in, peed, and left.
Now, one good benefit about that is that, you know, maybe a white person will see that and be like, hey, I can be that guy. I can be that person that stops racism.
Yeah, that's
Although
nice.
you probably can't. But you might be able to help somehow, in some way.
It's true, but I do think, and I'm not a very sensitive person to these things, I do think people are overly sensitive. I mean, this wasn't a Stonewall the movie issue where they took and rewrote all of history. It was one scene. And the movie is, from what I've heard, extremely powerful.
Yeah, Hidden Figures is, to me, the better of the two films in terms of that and La La Land. Just because I feel Hidden Figures, good writing makes you forget that you're watching a story being told to you and you feel like you're lost in it.
Absolutely.
With La La Land, I always felt this artifice that I'm watching. I never forgot that I was watching a movie.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, it's sometimes artifice can be a really great thing. And certainly like towards the end of La La Land, where they sort of create this fake Hollywood sound sets to retell the same story we just saw is kind of fun and interesting. You know, and certainly La La Land is a movie that favors movie makers in Los Angeles and Hollywood. So it's the movie to win, but I feel like Hidden Figures tells a very powerful story in such a way that makes us forget that, one, the story can kind of be boring, which is it's a story of science and mathematics and
and not sensationalizing everything to be insanely entertaining all the time, because it's not real life.
And the temptation in telling stories like this is to get caught up in the tragedy of the figures. And certainly like the Numbers Game, you know, the one that talks about the gay mathematician who, forgive me, I forgot off the top of my head too. Alan Turing.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
Alan Turing's, so his film sort of focuses on towards the end of how he died.
Right.
And so with the Hidden Figures, I just kept waiting for one of the characters to die or get shot or something.
Yeah,
you know?
Oh, those ladies lived to a ripe old age.
Yeah.
They did.
They had health care.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those things, too. They probably lived to be like 96, and they're like, what's your trick? I drink one glass of whiskey every morning. Because everyone who lives to be 100 has some weird thing. I smoke one cigarette
Is that your
a day.
excuse?
Yeah, yeah. One glass of whiskey an hour. That's my trick.
If good enough for grandma who lived to be 105, then I can do that.
She had one glass. I have 6. I'm going to live 6 times as long.
600 years old. Betsy DeVos has become our nation's Secretary of Education, despite Trump shitting on all these Republican senators. Their spines completely gone. It was a tie, and first time in history, Vice President Pence cast the deciding vote, putting somebody who is a schemer, a pyramid schemer, in charge of our education. So this means school kids will now have to sell overpriced vitamins and makeup to raise money for their schools.
Well, what they want to do is they just want to destroy the Department of Education and like leave it to the states. Now, the Constitution, I think, does leave most of the education stuff to the states. But, you know, we're a nation, so we have to share resources in a certain sense because it just makes sense. And then you have your local school boards are very important. So I suggest to everybody out there is you have to really just get involved locally. On your local level.
Does that mean you and I
level.
have to go like get involved in the high schools in our neighborhood?
Well, we don't have to because
do?
it's a pretty liberal neighborhood, but in those places where like you have a bunch of conservatives, there you're going to want to go.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey kids, what's going on? You know,
And
free
then
to be you and me.
there's also, if you just Google it too, you can see all the congressional districts in the nation that voted for Hillary Clinton. So those people are probably pretty ripe to get rid of Republicans. So some of them are in Texas, a lot in Central California, and then some in Pennsylvania and other places in the Northeast. So you get there, help, canvass, do whatever we can. We have to in this next election change the houses.
So in this next election, it's more Democratic seats are up for grabs than Republican seats. So it's an uphill battle.
This is rough.
And the problem is you can't impeach a president if the political will isn't there.
I know.
So Donald Trump can do anything he wants to. He's right about that. And
He can also spend a lifetime in jail after he gets out.
eventually he will be prosecuted. And, if the
We
Democrats...
could ship him to Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah. In the
know.
meantime, I'll just watch Gordon
And
Ramsay.
his entire family could be sent to Guantanamo Bay.
That's crazy.
You know?
The world is crazy right now.
Live his entire life in exile.
I think a part of the mistake that Obama made is not prosecuting Cheney for taking us into Iraq under false pretenses, and certainly it was a mistake in not prosecuting Nixon. And so,
But with Nixon,
whoever,
it was. When you compare what Donald Trump has done to what Nixon done, they had agents, they broke in to find out information, on the party. And so that was the thing. And it's like, when you look in the overall scheme of things, it's
Isn't that exactly what the Republicans and the Russians did in terms of the Democratic
without
Party?
a doubt, but the Russians aren't going to take, or the Republicans aren't going to take
Credit for it.
And so, in a sense, it's not that big of a deal compared to all the emoluments clause and how Trump hasn't released his taxes, those kinds of things. But also, too, I want to remind the listeners out there, too, is like Bannon, who's pretty much the person in charge, doesn't really look at the Democrats as the opposition party. He views the media. He says the media is the opposition party. And so the true thing that is really going to stop the Republicans taking over and just destroying our life is the media holding them accountable.
And if the media doesn't hold them accountable, then no one's holding them accountable. Right. And it's done.
The problem is we're living in a YouTube BuzzFeed world.
Not here,
but also a feast of fun world. So
That's true.
And so this is my call to action: is if you want to stop this, we're doing our part, we're doing what we can, and we are independent media, and we support. We count on you for your support. So if you're not a Plus member yet, sign up today at feastoffun.com/plus. Go to our store, get a T-shirt, make a donation at feastoffun.com/donate. Because if voices like ours and voices like similar to ours go away, who's going to stop the onslaught?
And this is not the first challenge we've faced in people trying to silence us. Actively threatening to silence us, and things I cannot comment on it. But let's just take my word for it that it's something that was really nerve-wracking, anxiety-inducing, and ultimately, hopefully, will resolve itself. But when you find yourself, you're doing a podcast, and I think of this podcast as basically a very well-liked Instagram account that has a lot of people subscribe to it. And instead of pictures, we're putting ideas and audio.
Yeah.
And it's no different than you being able to express your opinions on your Instagram or your Facebook wall. We are all the media. We all need to do our own research and hold these politicians, whether they be Republicans, Russians, or Democrats, accountable.
Yep. And in the meantime, you can go to feastoffun.com and buy your Feast of Fun. We're the real Easy D T-shirts.
You want to do it?
Now you got to make a T-shirt.
It's every time I come on here.
The real Easy D
T-shirts.
We'll get right on that,
I
Jeffrey.
tell you what, I'd wear that shirt. just go to Hobby Lobby or Michael's and make one for me.
What kind of font? What colors do you want them in?
White
I'll make
T-shirt,
one.
Comic Sans font.
That's ugly.
No.
No, I'll make it cool looking. Do you want it looking like a presidential kind of colors, like red, white, and blue?
Oh my God, absolutely.
And so like an eagle on top of it. And
I want the one with y'all as the pimp, the Christmas pimp.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pimp Daddy Christmas.
Oh my God, Pimp Daddy
You
Christmas.
said
I'm
you
the
were
real
going to get
Easy
one of
D.
those shirts. You never did.
I never did. I
Get
really
one for
need
next
one.
Christmas.
I know.
Order yours
Give
now.
it to your Jewish boyfriend.
Oh God, I will.
Your boyfriend, does he celebrate Christmas like most Jewish people do?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, like most Jewish people genuinely do. Yeah, he really does.
It's not a Christmas tree. It's a Hanukkah bush.
So there's this town of Fraser, Michigan. I guess there was a sinkhole happened by their sewer line. And so they were really worried that on Super Bowl Sunday, that during the halftime show, everyone would go to the bathroom and flush at the same time and overload their sewer.
No.
So they asked people, like, hold off on flushing, like don't do it all at once. And then actually some restaurants use paper plates and stuff so they didn't have to wash anything.
Oh my
I
God.
know, is that amazing?
Was their concern grounded in reality?
Oh yeah, of course. There was a sinkhole, and so it broke the sewage line. So they were worried that like if too much water went through at the same time, it would just like fuck everything up.
I've seen like I think The Simpsons and Futurama both had things about the Super Bowl. Like that's a real issue that they have, is that so many people go to the bathroom at the same time. It really fucks things up in certain smaller towns. I didn't know it was a real concern.
Yeah.
And you
fantastic.
saw Lady Gaga's Satanic Ritual.
I did not.
It was great.
I didn't watch anything.
No?
No.
You were busy with your cooking shows.
I genuinely
Let's cook
was.
something right now. What are you in the mood to cook?
Let's make chocolate panini peanut butter sandwiches.
Will it Nini?
Will it panini?
Yeah.
Will it nay nay?
Will it Nay Nay?
This is my panini press. We call it nay nay.
What are we panining today? A panini.
Hey, I want to remind people that people are asking us about our Facebook Friends
Oh,
of the
yeah.
Show group. What happened to it?
Love that group.
I don't know what happened. It may have been sabotage. It may have been a glitch in Facebook's system. But we recommend, if you are a fan of Feast of Fun, help us bring that community resource where the guests and the listeners can interact with each other.
How do you do that?
Go to facebook.com/support and file a complaint. Say, hey, I was a member of this group. I enjoyed participating on it. Go to facebook.com/support and complain about facebook.com/groups/Feast of Fun.
Yeah.
That's the URL of it. And as of it's been a week now, I've been filing complaints and asking them to do research. And the other going is like, looks like we have a glitch.
Yeah.
We'll get back in touch with you.
And if you work at Facebook, first off, fuck you. Second off, if you could help us out, I'd really appreciate it.
Find us at Feast of Fun Friends.
Number one was a joke.
Yeah. That was such a good group, too, because, sometimes like I can't always listen to the show. And it was fun when things would come up. You'd put little articles and things. Because I don't always follow up with the things y'all talk about and go to the articles. So it was nice. I
Pull
enjoyed
your
it.
head out of the sand, Jeffrey J.
I like it there.
There's a whole world
I
happening.
wouldn't mind being like at a beach right now, it's like I want to be one of those RuPaul's Drag Race girls that only takes gigs in Brazil.
Oh.
And she gets down there, she spends a week sucking dicks and performs once on stage and then complains that she had to perform that one night.
Feet in sand, easy D in your hand.
I want the Easy D, honey.
Yeah.
Hey guys, we got some fabulous t-shirts. Go to check out our store, feastoffun.com/store, where we have Not Shaving Gives Me More Time for Misbehaving, and Hon TV University. It's a cooking school. You can wear the shirt and make them eat it. Lots of really inventive designs, designed by us and some of our guests. And I guess we're going to sell the real Easy D. Do you guys want this?
God,
Let us know. Comment. If you
I'm
want
going to just
say.
do it, so we'll just make it.
I always create more
Keep
work
it
for y'all.
classy. Keep it classy, there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hunty wasn't far enough.
That's classic. People don't know. It's totally below
It's an
the
educational institution.
And Easy D is a direct line from the president. What's more professional than
If
that?
you can't support your president,
Yeah.
support your President Bannon. God bless America. Jeffrey J.
Thank you for coming on the podcast. It's always a pleasure.
We love you.
Love you too.
People can follow Jeffrey J on Twitter, Instagram land, YouTube land.
Everything's Hey Jeffrey J.
Hey, Jeffrey J.
That's it.
And of course, we're on Facebook, Instagram, and all that stuff at Feast of Fun. And one day, Mark will update his Twitter account, right?
Maybe someday. I lost my password. I got hacked. Somebody took over my account.
Yeah, someone took over insults and
So
Twitter.
if anybody works at Twitter, first off,
Fuck you. Second of all,
if you could help me get my handle back, I would really appreciate it.
yeah, we filed all the paperwork for that, and
so
The
I
thing
might have to
about
go
it
down to
is,
the home
yeah.
office. Next time I'm in San Francisco, I'll just go down to Twitter and be like, hello.
Just knock on their door.
Yeah.
Twitter fan here. I need my name back.
well, if you would remember your original password, but the problem is whoever hacked it in was able to guess it, and then they changed the account.
Yeah.
God, that's why you
So-
shouldn't. Your
And
password
now it's
shouldn't
being
be
used
I
to
love
promote,
Fausto.
and it was being used to promote porn now.
It is?
Yeah, it's some bullshit.
I kind of feel like that
And they
might have
deleted
been.
all your tweets too.
I feel like that might have been drunk you. It's just promoting porn.
Oh.
It's really frustrating, I think, Ian, and part of it is
I had a
like,
good name too.
Aww.
you know,
Later.
Mark's frustrated. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.